Yacht A, welcome to Navajo Sage Weaver Tarot's channel. Thank you for coming to my channel today. I'm going to do an all signs reading, just kind of see where the energy is and see how we are moving forward into a new month. So I am going to do Aries all the way to Pisces, and I'm going to use this is the tarot deck and then the fairies, and I'm going to do a 4 card spread, what your current position is, what you need to let go, what you need to focus on, and what you how you can tap into your higher self. So, all right, so let's get started. All right, I'm going to uh, shake the gourd to move any stagnation and move the energy. All right, I'm gonna burn some sage, just kind of. All right, so I'm just gonna give it a couple shuffles, and Aries. All right, Aries. So, Aries, we're going to see what current position you are in, and the fairies are going to let us know that you are in the position of the Titan T Safi. So, maybe you're, uh, you're, quick-minded at this time, this energy, like maybe there's some, you know, um, intellect, some mental stimulation, that is in your current position at this time. And what you need to let go of is the Eight of Cups. So the Eight of Cups is just, maybe feeling overwhelmed, maybe some lack of commitment. And then the fairy, what you need to focus on. And what we need to focus on is the Tobra of water. So maybe some meditation, um, and accepting some sort of change, right? Just letting go of the emotions. And what we need to do to tap into our higher self is the Knight of Wands. So the Knight of Wands just kind of, explains, or, somebody who, when you tap into your higher self, it gives you inspirational, gives you some ideas, and so yeah, so tapping into your higher self, finding that um, taking a stand, rising to the, you know, rising up to your fear. So maybe there was some, here when you're letting go of the Eight of Cups, feeling that overwhelm, maybe there's some fear monger in that. And then so now, when you tap into your higher self, you're like, like this character here, he's climbing, he's, I don't know if you can see, he's climbing the mountain. So, he's, you know, um, he's facing his fears. You know, he's saying, I can do this. So, Aries, that's what we have for you. All right, Taurus. Taurus, what your current position is the she of crush. So maybe there's some sort of nurturing that you're doing for yourself. Maybe some, you know, tapping into your feminine, your maternal side, you know. Maybe for my Tauruses, you know, this is also can be like fertile. What's that word? Fertility. So be careful, Taurus, if you don't want any children. So, oops, camera's going. What we need to let go of, Taurus, is the Page of Swords. So maybe some, you know, maybe, you know, need to walk away from some sort of, you know, gossip or something. You know, the Page of Swords, you know, is that learning to move around, right? You're using your swords to move around the world, you know, and maybe you don't need to use the swords, Taurus. Maybe you just kind of been, you know, cutting everything, you know, cutting things away in your life, and so maybe Spirit's asking you and saying, hey, Taurus, you know, you don't need your sword. So letting go of that, you know, and then being able to trust yourself, your higher self, and connect with Spirit. So, and what you need to focus on is the fairy who was kissed by the pixies. So we need to focus on love, giving love, you know, maybe receiving it, you know, opening your heart, you know, in some way. So, you know, maybe your heart wasn't open, and so now you're, you know, Spirit's saying, hey, Taurus, don't use your sword, you know, now you gotta, you know, learn how to have an open heart to be able to receive and give, you know, have that balance. And how you can tap into your higher self is the Ten of Pentacles. So the Ten of Pentacles is, you know, tapping into your ancestral strength, right? You know, your inheritance of who you are, or, you know, what your ancestors, you know, have passed down to you, you know, whether it's a talent or, you know, a skill or trait, you know, that's something that just comes easy for you. So that's what I have for you, Taurus. All right, Gemini. Gemini, we are starting off with the current position of the Union. So the Union here speaks of, you know, the spiritual home. So maybe you're in the current position of being in that spiritual home, you know, within yourself, having those magical, mystical experiences, right? What you need to let go of is the Eight of Swords. And the Eight of Swords is maybe letting go of some, you know, restrictions that you have, maybe some anxiety that you're dealing with, you know, tapping into, you know, those difficult paths that, you know, maybe people have, you know, put, you know, placed in your mind, you know, telling you can't do something when really you can, you know. Sometimes people, when you interact with others, you know, sometimes they can see your growth, right? They can see your, your spiritual being. They can see that light, and sometimes people struggle, with allowing people to be that way. So maybe there was some restriction on that, some sort of boundaries and some sort, right? So now you're tapping into that, and your spirit saying you gotta let that go. Don't listen to that. You listen to your inner self. What you should focus on, is death. So maybe maybe releasing, right? Focusing on releasing these restrictions, these boundaries here that that maybe hold place, and you believe others instead of listening to your own inner strength. So and when tapping into your higher self, we have the six of Pentacles. So maybe there's some, maybe when you tap into your higher self, maybe it brings some sort of nostalgia. Maybe the Six of Pentacles, is that being fair to yourself, finding fair, finding a balance, between either, your you and your inner self, right? Because this is all about, I try to focus my readings on, your relations between you and your higher self. And so maybe there wasn't a balance here, maybe that was, what is now need to be focused on, is tapping into your higher self and trusting, and then finding that balance within yourself, making yourself feel good, spending, some money on yourself, maybe buying yourself gifts, maybe there's a card coming in, there's a gift between you and your higher self. So that's what I have for you, Gemini. All right, Cancer. Cancer, we are starting off with the, I think this is Guacha. So this energy here is maybe something unexpected, right? Cancer, something, what they call that, a rude awakening. So, something that just kind of caught you off surprise, maybe you're having an awakening, maybe you're going through this, So that's the phase you're in. What we need to do, Spirit's asking you to, let go, what you need to let go of. So we have the Strength here. And sometimes, the strength is, identifying, the external, right? The external struggles, that, need to be tamed, that give you the courage. So, so maybe, maybe letting go of, like, being dominant, right, in situations. Sometimes, when we have that strength, sometimes we can, dominate the situation. And so, so maybe there was some unexpected, event or some situation that popped up into your circle. And so letting go of it is just, try not to dominate the situation, try not to, control, so, so Spirit's asking you, let that go. What you need to focus on is, the Luthris, the Wild. So maybe impulsive, maybe, there's this, focusing on balancing, right? Focusing on balancing, maybe the control of, with this unexpected event here. And tapping into your higher self is the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups is, that intuition, maybe being kind, healing, being honest with yourself. Sometimes when unexpected things come in and we want to control, you know, sometimes we don't realize that we're controlling the situation. So maybe you have to look, tapping into your higher self and saying, is this worth it? How can I move forward? How can I look at this in a way that I can heal from it, right? Tapping into your higher self, listening to your intuition. So that's what I have for you, Cancer. All right. Leo, we have, we're starting off with the undressed of a salad. And so the current position is maybe you're avoiding, right? Avoiding some sort of extremeness. Maybe there's chaos in your environment, and so now you're trying to, find balance in that. Find, avoiding the extreme. And maybe maybe archiving. I'm in the master's program, and one of my in my thesis, I'm my the kind of like the topic of it is archiving, and I've been learning about archiving, and archiving is the minute that communication happens, between you and yourself, right, or you and somebody else, that beginning of that story, creating that archiving, so maybe you're doing something, that you're communicating something that maybe is impossible, people may see that, Leo. So what we need to let go of, is the Five of Cups. So the Five of Cups is maybe, letting go of some depression, letting go of some, some sort of grief or some loss of maybe, spirit saying, hey Leo, stop dwelling on the past, so that way, you can move forward, right? That way you can, avoid those extreme situations that you don't want to bring into your energy field, right? What we need to focus on is the Sage energy. And the Sage energy is that, focusing on maybe retreating, taking time for yourself so you can reflect, finding that wisdom, and being patient with yourself. So that's what we need to focus on. And tapping into your higher self, is the Spirit's asking you to do the Three of Cups. So maybe, finding enjoyment, finding that good company between you and your higher being, Sometimes, sometimes we don't have that good relationship sometimes, that good friendship with our higher being. Sometimes we doubt it, and by not listening to our intuition, by not following what we really feel or what we really want to express. So that's what I have for you, Leo. All right. So Virgo, we are starting off with the energy of the Lady of Harvest. So maybe there's some sort of release here that you're in, right? The harvest, some sort of completion. If you think about like agriculture, right? There's a harvest in that. So at the beginning, right? At the beginning of your growing something, right? It has to start from a seed. Then you do the action of putting it into the ground, right? And then you make sure that there's no weeds, that you have plenty of water and sun. So there's this in between. Sometimes the work is can be very it can it can require a lot of work, right? And then when you get to the harvest, you got your fruit, you got your vegetables, you got whatever you have, whatever you have put down, whether it's, maybe, Virgo, maybe you're starting something new, a new project. Maybe you're going to school and you somewhere down, you planted that seed and now you're pulling that harvest in. So that's the current position we are in. What do we need to let go of? Is here is the Temperance. Maybe letting go, of control. Maybe there's a lot of chaos. Maybe finding a way to burn out the flame, right? Because there's a balance here between the flames. You got red and blue, and so Spirit is asking you to let go of let go of finding balance outside of you and go within yourself. So maybe you're looking outside of your being, and Spirit saying, let that go and come back and look within yourself, trust yourself. What we need to focus on is, the gloomest doom. What we need to focus on is, taking care of ourselves, not being so destructive, not having that self-pity, so maybe we just need to focus on who we are as a being, what our inner self, what is our inner self trying to tell us. Sometimes we forget, to trust our inner selves, and we always believe others around us. Sometimes those beliefs are other people's beliefs. Tapping into your higher self, you have the Wheel of Fortune here. The Wheel of Fortune, speaks, of those opportunities probably coming in, tapping into your higher self, having that faith, right? Believing within yourself, having that, those lucky moments, right? That maybe, here, the Temperance, letting go of that transformation of controlling, right? So maybe you can try to control things, right, Virgo, and it's just not working out. And then, focusing on yourself, learning how to take care of who you are. And then when that happens, when you start working on yourself, right, then good things start coming in, If you don't take care of yourself, then good things don't come in. You're stagnation, you're trying to figure out how to get the energy moving and stuff. And so, tapping into your higher self, you're like, okay, these are things I need to let go of, and things I need to work on. And we're all moving differently. So that's what I have for you, Virgo. All right, Libra. Libra, we need to, our current phase is the Oak Man. And the Oak Man is that you, right now, the current space that you're in is your strength, showing your strength, showing who you are, your ancient wisdom, maybe you're one of those people that have a lot of wisdom, and and sometimes you have a lot and people maybe not know that, and now moving in the cycle of life, maybe that's starting to show to people. So maybe that's what you're bringing out of your being. What we need to let go of is the Ace of Wands. So maybe we need to let go of, like, maybe procrastination, right? Sometimes the Ace of Wands, yeah, it may be potential and stuff, but sometimes those potentials, we have habits that we do, sometimes, yeah, I have a potential to do something, but that's the speak of it, but actually doing the action sometimes, can make us procrastinate, so not moving forward. So maybe, there are things that you like to do, right, at this time, in this moment, and maybe the procrastination is what's stopping you. So letting go of that. What you need to focus on is the Lamu. So, maybe learning, that unconditional giving and receiving, focusing on that. Doing some weird stuff. I apologize for that. So, Libra, so maybe, finding that unconditional love within yourself. How do I know how to balance it? How do I know how to give without giving too much, and receiving, without taking so much, unconditionally, and then tapping into your higher self, is here we have the Knight of Pentacles, and the King of Pentacles. So the King of Pentacles is somebody who is disciplined. Maybe you need to tap into your higher self, right? This procrastination here, we need to let go. We need to be disciplined in some way. So when you become disciplined, when you say, okay, this is enough, you have to do that. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody can make those decisions for you. You're going to have to be the one that steps up and say, this is what I am going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it, and then follow through with the action. Because the King of Pentacles, he's action oriented. He's an achiever. He's one that's he has a goal. He's thinking about the pentacles. You mess with him, you get the horns. He's all dressed up in his tuxedo. So so that's tapping into your higher self, Libra. So that's what I have for you. All right, Scorpio. Scorpio, we have here, the current energy is the Dark Lady. So the Dark Lady is, mystery, secret, tapping into the unconscious power, of your wisdom. So maybe you're doing that at this time, Scorpio. What we need to let go is the star energy. Excuse me. So the star energy just maybe maybe there's some sort of block connection, right? Because the star, when you see the star, it's bright, it's shining and stuff. And so, but here, tapping into that Dark Lady, unconsciously, you're unconsciously you're tapping into those powers and those mysteries there. And so and then here, letting go of the star, those block connections, maybe there's, maybe you blocked yourself, from that spiritual aspect. Maybe here, maybe there's secrets, and mysteries, and, and you're trying to figure those things out, and it's not allowing you to, because there's some sort of block connection between you and, spirit, and spirit's saying, here, you gotta let this go, What you need to focus on is the Epino Wild Daughter. So, the focusing on those, those darker side, the shadow side, right? So, your inner shadow, maybe that's why we're in this current position of the Dark Lady, looking into your shadow, recognizing that who you are. Sometimes, sometimes we have our shadows, our light attribute and our dark attributes of who we are as beings, and then we have characteristics, right? And sometimes we could have good ego, and and then we can use that ego in not a very good way. And so maybe, focusing on that inner shadow and saying, you know what, okay, you know what, this is who I am. This is, this is part of my being. I somehow inherited this characteristics. So how can I work on it? And then, letting that, that blockage go, um, and then, tapping into that. Maybe you have a blockage, maybe you don't want to see the inner shadow of who you are, Everybody's different. And then, tapping into your higher self. You have the moon here, Scorpio. So the moon is just, it just lets us know that, there are, the subconscious, right? And here you started off on using the unconscious. So when you tap into your higher self, you're using your subconscious here. And also, connecting with the other realms, and, that connection of the star, there's that balance there for you. And then, just kind of tapping into your higher self by, remembering those dreams, those visions that you have, so you can move forward and, and be able to understand who you are. And maybe you have visions and dreams, right? And maybe, the shadow, the inner shadow is causing some sort of blockage for you, and so Spirit's saying here, like, Scorpio, it's time, time to look at your shadow side, and that's okay, we're not always, always in our happy spot, sometimes we have to dig into that and learn how to maneuver in those ways, oh, when I get angry, instead of just getting angry and, shouting at, the first person you see, how can I control that, learning how to take control and, tapping into your higher self by making those dreams come true, your visions, even sometimes we're in our dark side, we gotta learn how to move with it and in this life. So that's what I have for you, Scorpio. All right, Sagittarius. Sagittarius, we are starting off with the Soul Shrinker. So the Soul Shrinker, is somebody who, maybe, maybe you're around, or maybe, there's gossip around you. Maybe, destruction, right? The Soul Shrinker, is the one that, is kind of, maybe there's gossip around you, right? Maybe there's cruelty. Maybe people are gossiping about you. Maybe people are cruel to you, maybe people do malice behavior around you, like that's kind of the energy that we're currently in, and what you need to let go of is the Chariot. So letting go of, like, the bully, right? Letting go of that energy here, the destructive energy, letting go of that bulliness, because sometimes, the Chariot, that's, it can mean that. It can mean, like, there's bully around you, or you're doing that, maybe. Also, like the Chariot, when it, when it's going, maybe, you lost control, somehow lost control of your direction. Maybe you kind of stepped off your path a little bit, and Spirit saying, stop being so hard on yourself. Yeah, sometimes we have, people who gossip and who say mean things, and then it brings, puts us in a mindset where we do run off the road, and we do get hurt, and we do pull back, and we don't want to be around those people. And so maybe you're maybe you lost control, you know, and spirit saying, let go of that, you know, let go of trying to control, you know, and just let us help you, you know, because spirit's always there to help us. What you need to focus on is the raw energy. So focusing on those pure potentials that you have, you know, focusing on the wild energy, right? Because, you know, sometimes that energy can, you know, bring us down, but, you know, if we mirror it with something just as equal, right? You know, then we can meet it. You know, sometimes you have to do that, you know, focus, bring that wild, you know, that wild energy, you know, meet that energy that you're facing, you know, mirror it, you know. And sometimes, you know, when you mirror stuff like that, you know, when you meet an energy with another energy, you know, in a different form, right? You can spook it, you know. You can make it go away, you know, and people will see that and say, oh my god, that person, you know, here we're gossiping about them, you know, and then you do something wild, right? And then you kind of like make them rethink, you know, maybe you produce something wild and do something that's, you know, that's out of the unordinary, right? So when you do that, tapping into your higher self, you have the three wands. And the three wands is, you know, that being creative, right? So, you know, creating something that's wild, you know, within yourself, something that nobody can take away from you. Nobody can, you know, when you have that creativeness, you know, nobody can take that, you know, away from you, you know. Maybe there's some teamwork here, you know, maybe you're around people and trying to make something with a group of people, and maybe it's hard, you know, but tapping into your higher self, you know, laying, you know, finding that what is that called? Finding that stability, you know, getting that preparation, you know, preparing yourself, you know, maybe to go into this energy here, to face it, you know, to mirror it off in some way. So that's what I have for you, Sagittarius. All right, Capricorn. Capricorn, we have the energy of Ishithas. So maybe, you know, maybe you're standing, maybe you know, you're in a joy energy, right? This energy is like, has motivation. So maybe, you know, you're in a position of, you have this motivation, you've got this, you know, this movement of like happiness and you know, in your, within you and your environment, you know. What we need to let go of is the Nine of Cups. So the Nine of Cups is, you know, maybe you have self-doubt about your dreams, right? Maybe you feel like they're out of reach, you know. The Nine of Cups can also represent, you know, like, you know, frustration, right? Of maybe you're frustrated, right? You know, these cups can be, you know, different emotions, and it can be social, you know, something that maybe you're trying to plan socially, and it's just giving you frustration, right? And spirit's like, hey, you know, you feel this motivation, and this situation is making you feel, you know, making you feel like it's out of reach, right? Making you feel like it's, you know, it's frustrating, you know. Maybe you're trying to, you know, plan some sort of social event, and it's just overwhelming, and right now maybe spirit's just saying, hey, put it down, walk away from it, you know. What you need to focus on is the fairy grandmother, you know, focusing on, you know, your gifts and your talents, you know. You know, maybe once you focus on this, maybe this event thing will start, coming about however you want, you know. You know, tapping into your higher self, you have the Three of Swords. So when you tap into that, you know, maybe there's some, you know, healing, right? Maybe healing some of those dark night of this, what is that called? Dark night of the soul, right? The shadow self, you know, tapping in and, you know, maybe healing it, you know, maybe healing it in a way that, you know, that makes you see this, your talents, right? Maybe, you know, maybe, you know, you know, tapping into your, you know, sometimes we have to face those heartbreaks, you know, and maybe when you tap into that, you know, maybe this event right here, this frustration of letting go, you know, has something hold onto your heart, you know, and you know, sometimes we don't want to look into that, but when you start tapping into that, you know, you start releasing those things. I am so sorry about my my camera. It has a mind of its own today. That's what I have for you, Capricorn. All right, Aquarius. Aquarius, we are tapping into the Singer of Courage. So we're tapping into our bravery, you know, our moral strengths, for this reason at this time. And you know what we need to let go of is the Ace of Swords. So you know, maybe, you know, you have some muddy thinking, right? Some thinking that's just not going anywhere, you know, some lies, maybe, you know, maybe some, maybe truth that has come to you, and you know it's not, it's concealed in some way, right? There's this blockage here, and you know, maybe you just have to let that stuff go at this time, you know. And you know, the Ace of Swords, you know, maybe the blockage for you or letting go is the you know, stinky thinking, you know. What you need to focus on is he of the fairy swords. So this energy talks about, you know, focusing on nurturing, nurturing and finding justice, and you know, finding that protection. You know, if you look at it, it almost looks like the Ace of Swords here. You know, I don't know if you can see it. So, you know, here this Ace of Swords is in, you know, in a circle. Maybe that's your mind, you know. And then when you focus on this energy here, he of the fairy swords, you know, that spiritual will, you know, the spiritual aspect of it, you know, finding justice, you know, focusing on how to protect your, you know, your spiritual, your inner self in some way. Tapping into your higher self, you have the Five of Swords. So, you know, tapping into defeating, you know, that defensiveness, right? Because you have like barbed wire, you know, defensive thinking, you know. Yeah, we have some money thinking, but you know, when we tap into it, maybe you've got some defensiveness, you know, maybe, you know, people try to come in and you're like, hell the F no, you ain't coming into my into my space, but I will receive help because you got this little, you know, this hat here, you know, and this person's, you know, there's a sword coming, so he, you know, this being cannot cross, you know, and it's holding the sword. It's, you know, maybe this is, you know, your inner self, you know, fighting with your being, you know, and your inner self is saying, you know, we've been hurt so much, you know, and you know, our muddy thinking, you know, prevents us, you know, from, from, you know, prevents us from moving forward. And you know, that's why you have to focus on the justice of it, you know, let it go. You know, once you let this go, you know, you start learning how to protect your inner being the correct way, so people won't take advantage of you, you know. So that's what I have for you, Aquarius. All right, Pisces. Pisces, we have the fairy of the future. So we have the fairy of the future, and the energy is be here right at this moment, you know. Be in the present moment. Maybe, you know, lately we haven't been in the present moment, you know. Maybe they're moving, you know, maybe spirit is here guiding you to move forward, you know, to move forward into something. So maybe, you know, in the past we haven't been present, you know, maybe, you know, sometimes we, you know, sometimes you use devices. Maybe you're not using devices, right? Maybe you're just, you know, you pass things sometimes, you know, they creep up and they make us think, you know, and they make us sit in it for a while. We feel it, you know, we get angry, you know, and then we're holding that anger all day, and you know, and it's just sometimes our thinking can get us like that, you know. And what we need to let go of is the Six of Wands. So the Six of Wands is, you know, maybe, you know, what's holding maybe the current position. You want to move forward, right? You want to do something, but the Six of Wands here, Spirit saying you got to let this go. You got to stop, you know, being so destructive. You know, you got to stop telling yourself. Maybe, you know, there's certain emotions, right? Certain, what's that? Certain, I can't come up with that word, but sometimes, you know, maybe you have certain characteristics of who you are, right? Because, you know, the being is here, you know, with its wings, you know, and here it has like a cross, like you put a boundary within yourself, you know. If I feel, you know, fear, or if I feel sadness, you know, stop. You ain't coming in. So maybe you've done that to your inner being, you know, your higher self is, you know, this butterfly trying to connect with yourself, trying to find that balance, right, with the six of wands, you know. So you're trying to, you know, find that victory within yourself, you know, trying to reconnect, right? What we need to focus on is the Piper. So the Piper energy is somebody who, you know, who has empathy, right? Who has order, who has, you know, maybe, you know, focusing on listening to music, you know, stop. Maybe, you know, there's certain musics that make you feel good, you know, and Spirit saying, here, you know what, if you don't feel good, right, and you're in this, you know, energy, you know, of, you know, not being able to be in the moment, you know, Spirit saying, you know, put some music on, you know, change the energy, that frequency, you know, you can do that, you know. I am in my master's program learning about sound, and how sound and frequency, can change, the whole story, So, tapping into your higher self, we have the Seven of Swords. So the Seven of Swords is tapping into your, your higher self, tapping into the unknown, right? Learning how to, stop those thinking of the, the hidden knowledge, stop the gossip that you have, within yourself. Sometimes we gossip about ourselves, sometimes, like when we have this passion of doing something, right, and then some other energy comes in and makes you doubt, then you're like, maybe I can't do that, maybe I'm not a good person, and then you start, your being starts working like that, your mindset starts, getting in that space there, and so, tapping into your higher self, with the Seven of Swords, it's just finding that hidden knowledge, finding, keeping outsiders, keeping, that negativity outside, like you're not letting it, you're not letting it enter your being, you're stopping it, you got your flashlight here, your swords, you don't have to have all 7 swords, you got these 3, and you're like, okay, anybody coming in, they're gonna get a sword. If I can't see at night, I got my flashlight, So, yeah, so that's what I have for you guys today, and I apologize for the, for the camera. Yeah, it's kind of have its own thing, and just trying to work with it. So I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I just want to say thank you for allowing me to do your readings, and Hojana has clean, Hojana has clean, Hojana has clean, Hojana has clean, Hojana has clean. Yeah.